There's nothing I love more than listening to a maximum of 3 white guys talk about absolutely nothing for sometimes over an hour. I listen to podcasts at every waking minute of my life. I've developed a podcast mentality, which means I can no longer contribute to any conversation I'm in. 2 people talking, and I'm on the outside of that. Oh, speak up. Do you see something? Do I have something to say? Absolutely not. I'm just listening. I'm all ears, baby. All ears. Instead of viewing YouTubers all the time, they've decided to infest our ears now. And some of my favourite YouTuber podcasts include Chuckle Sandwich. 2 straight white men talking with the possibility of another guy coming on. I'm listening. Sign me up. You're spoiling me. Is it a weekly podcast? Who can tell? You're telling me there's two guys telling stories and spewing their opinions everywhere, right into my ear holes. I'm listening. I love Schlatt and Ted's content separately, so why not bring them together? Of course I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna eat my chuckle sandwiches. I'm gonna have a chilled turd afterwards. It's a great little podcast. I love the guests that come onto it. You know, the creators hop on. There was Danny Gonzalez was on it. Connor was on it. Great episodes, wasn't it? Great episodes. Eddie Burback was on it. That was a good episode too. The only thing better than a would you rather question is a would you rather question that makes absolutely no fucking sense. That podcast would be dead without that question. I'm so happy they say it every week. That question is essential to the podcast, right? How much would we miss it if it wasn't in there? Oh, I would miss the question. We would all miss the question, wouldn't we?
Hello, everybody.
Cuz Connor's podcast is freaking great. Yeah, I don't know if it's the most recent episode by the time this comes out, but there's a recent episode with Curtis, Danny, and Drew. Like the first in real life thing in ages where they all meet up. But that was a little treat for us, wasn't it? That was real nice. And I don't normally listen to like one guy podcast because it's just a guy talking in a room. It's a bit weird. But for Curtis, I'll make an exception. I'm really looking forward to his stand-up that's coming out. Because he's always sitting down in his podcast. Why should this guy stand up? Also, listening to this podcast helps me keep up to date on like all the weird internet happenings that happened. That are also really essential and key to my life that I need to know. And he has a soundboard. How great is that? I think more podcasts should have soundboards. I've been saying this since like 2 seconds ago. Tiny Meat Gang, they're fun, right? I remember me and my friend from school bonding over Cody and Noel, and that friendship hasn't lasted. So yeah, do not start friendships on YouTube. YouTubers are a bad foundation for friendships. But Cody and Noel are great, right? I want to see Noel stand up. Is he touring? I have an obsession with guys standing up apparently. But is he coming to the UK? Because I want to. I'm searching. And Cody he is Insanely Chill. It's another great podcast. I love that they do great guests on there. I mean, the whole podcast is a guest thing, but Brittany Broski was on Tiny Meat Gang. I love that episode. She's great. I love Brittany. We all love Brittany. Also, I love their wives. They got great wives on there. Kelsey and Alina are great. They're both for podcasts as well. Kelsey has Circle Time and Alina has Are We Still Friends? And they're great podcasts too. It's a podcasting family, and we are part of it. Users Hotline. I think this is like one of the only British YouTuber podcasts I listen to, other than Internet Sensation, which is I'm Alex's podcast. But that man is very unreliable when it comes to podcasts. You cannot trust this guy. But Users Hotline, great. We love George and Max. They do great TikToks, and Max wears Crocs. But Users Hotline is good. It has like a structure to it, kind of podcasty. Rings up, emails in, asking for advice, and they give advice, whether it's good or bad. You're getting it, and so there's that kind of structure to it. And the guests that come on it are all good. Like they're all from the same internet realm kind of thing. So others of my like favourite creators hop on there, like I'm Alex, Arthur Hill, Stephen Dries. Oh, and Joe and Casper were on it. And those guys are my whole childhood. I've got like the Joe and Casper Hit the Road DVD, and it came with a poster in it, and that was on the back of my door for way too long. But no, that was great. That was great to see them together again, wasn't it? Off Menu, such a fun little podcast. Two British comedian guys talking about food, but in a real fun way. You know, James Acaster is my favourite comedian of all time, and Ed is also there. I saw Ed's stand-up Electric, and it made me cry. It was that bad. No, it was really freaking good. They're great. Look, I've got some merch for it. That's how much I love Off Menu, is I bought the little tote bag of it. Ain't that sweet? And then I had the salad in it one time, and the container I used was not salad dressing tight, so I spilt salad dressing all of it. So there's a slight taste. I don't eat bags. There's a slight stank of salad dressing to it, but that just adds to the whole foodiness of it. I like how James is a genie in it, and Ed is just a regular waiter. I feel like he could have done more with that. Poppadoms and bread. And bread, you can't have both. Can you have both? Has anybody ever done both? Poppadoms or bread baffles me each time. Like, I think bread is the obvious answer. I don't understand people who pick poppadoms. I'm just saying. They're just two fun boys going on about their love for cheese boards and ice cream. Some of my most memorable episodes include Tim Key, Miriam Margolyes. I thought Miriam Margolyes was Miriam Gargoyle, like gargoyles, so like gargoyles, but it's not, it's Margolyes, which is kind of sad. Florence Pugh was on it, which I didn't expect. Like, I thought she was busy, you know. She's like Florence Pugh, and I didn't expect her to be there. Also, Joseph Quinn was on it, and that was on the time of like Stranger Things hype, so I lost my mind. I made art for her and everything. It was weird. Bob Mortimer as well. Bob Mortimer episode was freaking great. It's Always Sunny podcast. I love It's Always Sunny. I love when people talk about It's Always Sunny, especially when it's the people that made it. Like, sure, it's a way of keeping the show alive and getting people excited for the newest season and getting people to rewatch it. And that's exactly what I do. I watch an episode and then I listen to the podcast, and it's an endless cycle that I am not willing to break. I like hearing about the behind the scenes of the show, like how they wrote it, how they like continue with the story, how they shot it, like what got cut, what's like improvised. I'm interested, you know, and it's also nice to see them hang out with not shouting at each other. And they're just great guys, aren't they? They're wonderful. They seem lovely. Films to be buried with. I love film, and I will watch Ted Lasso. Brett Goldstein is the podcaster, and I know he's in Ted Lasso, and I do want to watch it, and I will watch it. But Films to be buried with is great. It's a celebrity guest comes in, and they go through their life through film, and then they pick a final film to be buried with. That's why it's called Films to be buried with, like the final film they can take to their coffin, to their grave. My favourite questions on it is what's your favourite film? Not because it's like a good film, but the situation you watched it in. I think that's a great question. Also, I like the what film do you think is everybody thinks is bad but you think is good? For me, that'll be Hoodwinked, which I watched it when I was a little child, so it has a lot of nostalgia attached to it. Also, it's really funny, but to like an outsider, it's an absolute shit show. Like, the animation is horrible. Like, they need to remake that with better animation, and I think it'll do really well. Like, it had Anne Hathaway voicing Red, I think, and like some other well-known people who I can't think of right now, but it's a really good film and an even better podcast. Three bean salad. I can't express how much I love this piece of shit podcast. It's hosted by three middle-aged men, despite only one of them really talking, And I've listened to this podcast for like 3 years, so I've developed a paternal attachment to all of them. The concept is a listener emails in a topic, and then they talk about the topic. You would think it's a very easy format, but no. It's actually impossible to follow. Podcast starts with, the normal pointless chat that accompanies every podcast, except this pointless chat goes on for half the episode, and then they bring up the topic, or they briefly mention the topic, and then they never mention it again. And then they read emails, and the emails normally consist of people just saying that everything in the last episode was complete bullshit. And that's the episode, and I listen to that every week. I tune in weekly for the same old thing, and I cannot get enough. What I think I really like about this podcast is the jingles on it. They have a little jingle for any subject that they bring up more than once. They have a little jingle for it. Like, they bring up the royal family a lot. Of course they do, they're British. So there's a royal family jingle. I think they should make an episode just on jingles, where they talk about jingles and then they play every single jingle, because there haven't been many jingles played apart from the theme song, which obviously is going to be played in everyone, and the email song, or whatever. Email jingle. Need more jingles, guys. So what I've established is the podcast world is dominated by men. We need more women making podcasts. I mean, I have mentioned Are We Still Friends, Circle Time, great podcasts, great women. And I listen to Saving Grace and Whine About It, also great podcasts. And I can't think of any more, because I just don't listen to any more. All the other ones that I've seen are wellness podcasts or something. It's we need an excuse to make it. Women need an excuse to make a podcast. They need to have a point. Can we just get a podcast where we just talk about nothing? Where it's just absolutely nothing, just speaking to the abyss. I want more of those podcasts, please. For this video, close your eyes and just listen. Then it will seem like this is a podcast. Everything's a podcast if you're blind. Jesus. Thank you for watching. We're going to end it there.